let's take a look at our top selections.
Hi everyone, the feature race on Saturday at Santa Anita is the Grade 2 Santa Monica Stakes. Filly and Mare sprinters going 7 furlongs. The Filly Mare Sprint division does not typically get a lot of notoriety, at least until the end of the year when the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint begins to take shape. And it's unfortunate because Filly Mare Sprint division is actually a pretty fun division. It's often very competitive, and sometimes you can cash a ticket at a price in the Filly Mare Sprint division. I'm not sure if we're going to cash a ticket at a price in the Santa Monica this year, but this year's field is unusually deep. We'll talk about the entire field in just a minute. Before we talk about who entered the 2021 Santa Monica Stakes, that's race 8 on Saturday at Santa Anita, let's at least recognize who is not running in this field. And those include 3 of the top Filly Mare sprinters in California: Gamine, Edgeway, and Venetian Harbor. Now, as everyone knows by now, Gamine is an absolute beast. She might be the best sprinter in the country, irrespective of gender, but she just posted her first 3 furlong comeback workout early this week at Santa Anita, and she is weeks, if not months away from a comeback. She's trained by Bob Baffert, and potential comeback spots for Gamine would include the Grade 1 Madison on April 2nd at Keeneland. I'm not sure if Baffert would want to ship her for her first start back. Don't know that he won't either. Or she could stay home and make her seasonal debut April 4th at Santa Anita in the Grade 3 Los Flores. In that race, I think Gamine would probably be an absolute layup. Now, how good is Gamine? Well, let's just use a video of the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint last year as a little reminder, and watch a brilliant filly scoring one of the most dazzling victories of the entire 2020 Breeders' Cup. Gamine, not only did she win this race in a landslide, she just crushed the field by more than 6 lengths. She earned a 110 Beyer speed figure, her 4th win from 6 starts. She was actually, should be 5 for 6, but she got DQ'd. That is Gamine at her best. A 110 Beyer speed figure. She's as good as any sprinter in the country. But like I said, she's weeks away from her comeback. Another filly who's not in the Santa Monica is Edgeway, trained by John Sadler. And the reason why she is not in this race is because she just ran last weekend in an allowance race. Let's roll the tape on Edgeway winning an allowance race last weekend at Santa Anita. Her first start since June at Churchill Downs, and this is the ideal comeback for a good horse. A decisive, confidence-building win, not overly stressful. Looks like she had a little something left at the wire, and that's Edgeway taking care of business under Joel Rosario. She earned a 94 Beyer speed figure, so her next start is to be determined, but I'm sure it will be in a stakes race somewhere. She could go back to Keeneland for the Madison. I don't know if she would go there if Gamine ships there, but at any rate, Gamine and Edgeway, we're looking forward to seeing the next start for these 2 very good female sprinters. Another Filly Mare sprinter who is, I believe she's just now re-entering training. She hasn't posted a workout yet, is Venetian Harbor. She won the Grade 2 Raven Run last year at Keeneland. So Gamine, Edgeway, and Venetian Harbor, they're not in the Santa Monica, but 12 entrants are. It's the biggest field for the Santa Monica in at least 30 years. Here's a look at the first page of the entries. A field of 12 entered this race, 7 furlongs. By the way, favorites won this race 9 of the last 15 years, and 3 of the last 4 years, the winner was the odds-on favorite, including a year ago when Hard Not to Love paid $3.20 in a 5-horse field. Well, Hard Not to Love will not be 3 to 5 this year because this is a very deep competitive field. Let's take a look at page number 2. Pharaoh's Heart, Biddy Duke, and Bohemian Bourbon all on the outside. They're probably long shots, although Pharaoh's Heart's very interesting. She scored a very highly rated maiden win first time out, and the filly that she defeated, Bye Bye Miss Pie, is scheduled to run on Friday. So those are the long shots in the Santa Monica field of 12. And we're going to start, I'll talk about 3 in particular, starting with my third preference. And she is Fair Maiden, trained by Owen Hardy. I mentioned that favorites have been very prominent in this race in recent years. And here's another recent trend. Once upon a time, it was extremely difficult for the winner of the La Brea Stakes. That's a sprint race restricted to 3-year-old fillies run just before the start of the year. It was very difficult for La Brea winners to come back and face older fillies and mares in the Santa Monica and be as effective. Well, that dynamic has definitely changed. In fact, of the last 7 La Brea winners who came back into Santa Monica, 4 of them won. Those include Island Fashion, Switch, Sam's Sister, and last year, Hard Not to Love. Hard Not to Love won the La Brea and the Santa Monica. Fair Maiden is a dynamite sprinter. She's 4 for 6 in sprints. She paid $43.20 winning the La Brea. And you know what that means? That means that she's going to still offer some wagering value in the Santa Monica. You don't normally see a $43 winner come back and start favored in his or her next start. So Fair Maiden still could offer some potential value. I would guess somewhere in the 4-1, 5-1 range. Let's go ahead and take a look at Fair Maiden's La Brea Stakes win. She's on the outside. She kind of looped the field. And yeah, she got a setup and she got a perfect trip. But good horses take advantage of circumstances. And that's exactly what Fair Maiden did. Took advantage of an ideal trip, and she cruised home to win by more than 2 lengths under Ricky Gonzalez. The first grade 1 of Gonzalez's career. Fair Maiden, trained by Owen Hardy, and she is a contender right back. She earned a 92 buyer speed figure in La Brea. Pretty good number for a filly that paid $43. So I respect Fair Maiden. She's my 3rd preference. 2nd preference, trained by Bob Baffert. Her name is Kahira. Baffert entered 3 in this field, and I think that the best of those 3 is Kahira. Last time out, Kahira was heavily favored in the Kalukan Queen Stakes. It was a listed stakes race, and she did something a little different from her normal style. Kahira is a filly with speed, a mare with speed. She's 5 years old. She typically does her stuff up on the front end, but Rosario was able to harness Kahira's speed, and she kind of showed a new dimension. Let's roll the tape on the Kalukan Queen Stakes and take a look at Kahira rallying from off the pace. She sat 4th in the early going. She benefited from an ideal trip, and she cruised rather convincingly through the lane. She would win by a length, but it was a decisive length. They got close to her late, but you saw Rosario take a peek over his right shoulder, and Kahira had plenty in the tank at the wire. This was a good win by a good mare who is now 5 for 8. We don't know if she's graded stakes caliber, but we don't know that she's not either. She actually finished 2nd in a grade 3, 2 starts back. With that newfound running style, Kahira, she can do anything. She can go to the front or she can sit off, and I would imagine that's probably what Rosario will do. Now, Kahira is in post number 5, right smack in the middle of the field, so it'll be up to that top jockey to work out some sort of trip. I respect Kahira just as much as I do Fair Maiden, but when all is said and done, I think that Hard Not to Love is a potential standout. And I'm not saying that because she won this race last year. I'm saying it for a couple of reasons. First of all, she's best in sprints, and John Sheriff wants her to become a route horse, and maybe she will, and she's actually run well in routes, but she's 0 for 5 going 2 turns, and she's 5 for 6 around 1 turn, including this very stakes race 1 year ago. Let's watch Hard Not to Love reproducing her La Brea Stakes win with an emphatic victory in the Santa Monica Stakes. She won by more than 3 lengths as the 3-5 favorite. This was back on February 15th of 2020, and in all 5 subsequent starts, Hard Not to Love ran 2 turns. Now, she ran well going 2 turns, and she was probably facing better company in those route races than she was in the sprint. So the fact that she's 0 for 5 in routes and 5 for 6 in sprints might be a little bit misleading, but the point is this: she's never won a route race, but she's only lost 1 sprint race. Now, when you get a chance after this video, you have to go back and watch the entire trip of Hard Not to Love in her most recent start. It was in the grade 3 La Cañada Stakes going 2 turns, and Hard Not to Love had one of the more bizarre trips of the entire winter season. She was ridden that day by Ricky Gonzalez. It was the first time that Gonzalez had been on her, and he let her run out of the gate. Well, when you ask her for a little bit of run leaving the gate, Hard Not to Love, she gets revved up and she wants to go on with it. And that's exactly what she did. She actually set or dueled for the lead along the rail for the first 3.5 furlongs. And then she sucked back, and then she came back around and re-engaged Fighting Mad. Then she dueled, got pressure from the outside by Miss Stormy D. It looked at the quarter pole like Hard Not to Love was going to back completely out of it. And then she rallied through the lane and actually was running at the wire. You have to watch the entire trip. It was January 9th at Santa Anita, race number 8, the grade 3 La Cañada. Fire up Formulator and call up the most recent start by Hard Not to Love. It was a whole lot better than an 83 Beyer speed figure and 6-length margin of defeat. And I'm hoping that that 83 Beyer speed figure that Hard Not to Love earned last time out will scare a lot of people away. I know what I saw visually, but you be the judge. Take a look at Hard Not to Love's most recent start and decide for yourself whether you think that Hard Not to Love is in form and whether or not she will benefit shortening from 2 turns to 1. I think the answer should be in the affirmative for all the above. Trainer John Sheriff's, Hard Not to Love's trainer, also said that Hard Not to Love was blowing very hard after the La Cañada. The main track at Santa Anita is deep and tiring and slow, and Hard Not to Love was a tired filly after the race. She was blowing hard. With that strong route race under her belt, a turn back to 7 furlongs, and a new jockey, Juan Hernandez, will be riding Hard Not to Love. She's a one-eyed filly, and she's kind of spooky sometimes. She sometimes gets out on the track and just freezes and refuses to move. Juan Hernandez will be riding Hard Not to Love in a race for the first time. And with a clean trip, pace to run at, and she should get it because Merneath and Miss Stormy D in post 1 and 2 are going to ding-dong early. Kahira has speed. The splits should be legitimate. I expect Hard Not to Love to become the first repeat winner of the Santa Monica since 1988. And I'm crossing my fingers that we get 5-2 on a filly that I think, a 5-year-old mare, that I think is a standout. That's Hard Not to Love in the Grade 2 Santa Monica Stakes, race number 8, Saturday at Santa Anita.